Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Computer Wednesday, we're going to talk about GeForce RTX 30 series graphics card. So let's dive right into it. Well, first thing you have to understand, same way RAMs do not change like every year. So you're not going to be like, oh, in 2020 there is DDR5, then in 2021 there will be DDR6. There is a cycle to it. Same way with USB and everything related to computers. So GPU also have that, a cycle. Now this cycle at this point in time, if you measure from 2010, comes out to be around 2 years. So what does that mean? That inherently means there is a window of opportunity. You cannot buy graphics card whenever you want to. I mean, like you can, it's your money, but it's like it won't be optimum. What does that mean? That simply means if you buy too late. For example, let's say 1 month ago, or even few weeks ago, 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, if somebody had bought a 2080 Ti, they would be like, what the hell? Like they not only paid a lot of money, they also got outdated equipment. So you paid more, you got less. That's why that GPU cycle window is very important. There is a very narrow window. Now take changes happens very slowly, so it's not like you go from 400 series graphics card to 500. There will be very huge change, but sometimes there is a huge change up. For example, mobile to mobile, like each year there is not too much difference. However, whenever your mobile goes from LCD to OLED, you like, whoa, it's a big change. So sometimes that also happens. For example, for streamers, let's say when 20 series came out and 10 series dropped in price, they're like, let's buy 10 series. Yes, leave. RTX audio was a release for 20 series only, so you could not have used that. By hijacking drivers, you could try that, but it was not that efficient. Audio was not coming, it's not built for that. So flat out, so you could have a scenario where buying old or lower cost may give you a useless product, like for your niche case. Like if you don't need it, enjoy whatever you want to do, enjoy, go YOLO on that, but it's up to you. Now, do you need to buy every graphics card? Hell no. You can easily, comfortably, and this is from like 10 years of data gathering, you can easily comfortably skip one generation without any issue. You will not you will have a big jump, basically big issue if you jump 2 generations, but if you jump one generation, you are enjoying it. So for example, let's say you bought 10 series graphics card, now it's the time to jump to 30 series. You bought 20 series graphics card, do not buy 30 series. It's not that big of a leap. You will not be like, whoa, that will not happen. So if you want to be cutting edge, you can buy that. If you have a lot of money, go YOLO on it. But for most people, for more than enough time cases, you will be like, dude, skip one generation. Just always skip one generation, and you will be like getting high-end equipment if you buy that properly at the release date, as close to it as possible. Like again, let the initial hype die down. Let's say board partner coolers start to come in. After that, buy it. So don't wait for like, okay, I'm gonna wait 1 year or 2 years to if you waited for that, you could have a scenario where you like literally paid more for an outdated piece of equipment. So be mindful of GPU cycle. It is very critical. Now another aspect, what the hell happened, like what happened in this? So we had a big architecture change with Pascal 10 series graphics card. It was not too much difference in game performance, but in terms of inherent architecture, they changed a lot. So Pascal, they created that led to creating Volta. Now Volta never reached common public because it was a compute card architecture. Because you have to understand this way, Nvidia now has a second division that is making more money and more profitable. They make cards for supercomputers, so to say. So compute cards, these cards are only there for number crunching purposes. It's just like a graphics card. It's just they re-architecture it a bit differently. So they created a Volta architecture. That was not, for some reason they did not decide to release it to public. It has happened to Nvidia in past. For example, 800 series graphics card, there is 7, there is 9, there is no 8. So what happened to 8? Same happened to Volta. Now after that, Turing cards were released. Now this was RTX time. Algorithm of RTX was fine-tuned in Volta. So RTX was the first time public got to use it, not supercomputer, public got to use it, and we got 20 series graphics card. Now that same architecture, RTX architecture, they are upgrading it, and now we have Ampere. Now Ampere is fine-tuned, polished. So we are going getting into 30 series graphics card. This is very critical because many times graphics card just have name like RTX Titan. What the hell that means? Because you could end up with a Turing card while you're thinking that you bought a Ampere card. So be mindful of this. Now Nvidia's traditional silicon manufacturer is TSMC. Now TSMC is Taiwanese Semiconductor Manufacturing Corporation. It's so huge, like if you extend your hand out on any electronic device, there is a very good chance it has some component from this. Like this is granddaddy of all manufacturing. However, they were having serious issue with 8 nanometer, where they're like, okay, we're gonna take materials for 100 chips. They were only successfully able to make, let's say, 60 chips. So they were like, price was too high, and that was directly evident in the pricing of RTX. So Samsung comes in and it's like, TMC is not kicked out. TMC is gonna make the 7 nanometer supercomputer architecture cards, basically for pro end, where money does not matter. For those people, TMC is still the main go-to, but for average human, Samsung is the main king, because Samsung can make 8 nanometers, same as every other company, but they can make 8 nanometers at very high yield rate. Basically, they will consume material for 100 chips and they're going to give you 80 to 90 chips in return, working chips. That's awesome. That's called yield rate is very high with Samsung. That's why Nvidia is going to it. Now, RTX, they are going to Gen 2 this time. So you're gonna not only gonna get basically improvement of RTX, you're gonna get responsiveness. What does that mean? That means in older generation RTX, you could have 4K rendering or you could have high frame rate rendering. Basically, you have to choose between, let's say, 120 frame per second or 4K. This time you can have both. So that's the whole thing. You're gonna get second gen of RTX. Then there will be Gen 3 of Tensor Core. This cores are very utilized for many computational tasks, and some video rendering software does utilize this for applying shaders, VFX, and all that jazz. So if you are one of those people who utilize Tensor Cores, enjoy. Now, many times companies, what they will do, let's say they had got better performance. They are like, okay, for per watt of power consumption, we are getting better teraflops. So what they will do, they will keep the power consumption same. Basically, if the power consumption was built for 70 watts of power, they're gonna still keep the 70, but they're gonna get better performance. So it's like still 70 watt, but better performance. Sometimes they go YOLO. This time Nvidia did that. So they're like, okay, now I can actually make a bigger processor, because if you try to do that with inefficient system, it will internally cook itself. It does not matter how good of a cooling you have, it will inherently destroy itself. So this time they're going bonkers. So whole architecture got a like power requirement boost. So this time they're going as high as 300 watts of power consumption per card. So they're going bonkers, and to handle that kind of heat load, they're redefining the cooling system. Like till 10 series, almost all graphics card go below. Before that is like a blow restore cards, nothing fancy. But in 20 series, because it was a high energy demand scenario where there were like a lot of power consumption, they had to twin fan. This time they have twin fan, but the architecture was done in such a way that there is a breathe hole. Basically, it can directly breathe through independent system here. Benefit of this, they are saying it's not only quieter, it's also capable of dissipating 300 watts of heat. You have to wait and see the test results, but they are redesigning the whole architectures, and every aftermarket card that is not going to utilize this architecture, all of them have triple fans, because this puppy is a very power hungry, so to say. What about the cost? Now, this was the most decided like wow factor for every Tom, Dick, and Harry, simply because we've seen Nvidia slowly creeping up its price from let's say 700 series graphics card to 900 series graphics card to 10 series graphics card to 20 went bonkers in terms of price. Now, price was not Nvidia trying to make more money; it was also that TMC was not giving high yield results. So this time they came out and it's like, whoa, cheaper prices. Like, whoa, what happened? Is like Nvidia okay, everything fine and all that? However, be mindful, if you are an Indian audience, it's not that cheap in India, because in Indian price, again, this is a launch price, it may come down. 3070 is for 51,000 rupees, founders edition, and 3080 is 71,000 rupees, and then you have basically 3090 Titan series card, which is 1,52,000. So it's not that cheap in India. It might be cheaper for you to import it or have a friend bring it from other parts, but for initial price is surprisingly low. Like compared to 20 series, it's low, it's flat out low. And not to mention, they are not holding back. They are not like okay, if we make it powerful as it can be, it will hurt the sale of 2080 Ti's. They are not doing that. So they are like going all in. So if you bought 2080 Ti recently, it's gonna hurt you, because somebody could buy a cheapest card. Basically, price difference would be like 51,000 compared to 60 to 80,000 rupees price difference. So you have a significant price difference, and you're gonna get better performance in this. So that's the whole point. Why the heck that happened? Why the heck Nvidia is such a good guy recently? Well, the reality was, as I specified, jumps are very rare. You do not have like next series basically graphics card came out, I have to buy it. Many people are like, dude, I can wait. Or some people only change once they buy a new computer. So reality is not enough, big enough market is there, and 20 series was way too prohibitively expensive. It was like, dude, I can't afford to buy that. It's like flat out. I get it, it's awesome card, but like, yeah, no. So 20 series was not that profitable. They were not selling as much as they were expecting. So that was like, whoa, cold water to their face. Another aspect, world got destroyed in 2020. So economic recession is coming. So flat out, they know for a fact that people are like holding on to their money a bit longer. It's like, do I really need to buy this graphics card? So for that reason, they have to be like, okay, butter the deal, so to say. Another aspect, console is here. So consoles generally have a cycle of 5 to 10 years. Earlier they used to have 10 years. Now they are doing 5 years, like PS4 Pro, PS4 X stuff and all that jazz. So this time consoles are coming out. So this is a very critical time where you can just buy one graphics card or buy a whole console. Now consoles are always cheaper, and because console is a dedicated equipment, it's fine tuned for one thing. It's like you don't have to think about, oh, is my drivers up to date. You don't have to think. Basically you buy money, you spend the money on games and you enjoy. You don't have to think too much about it. So like I bought my 1070 for around 42,000 rupees. I could have bought a console for that. So reality is console is coming and they are cheaper, and because they are new generation, at least for first few months they will be like, whoa, awesome technology. So they are like, getting attacked from all sides. Consoles are coming, economy is not doing very well, 20 series was not that good, so they're like, let's calm down the price. Let's just make sure at least we sell something, rather than like, oh, I will only sell if I make that much profit. So that's why the cost is low. Now another aspect that I would urge you all is basically stay calm down, take a deep breath, relax. The reason is, I worked in game industry. I have worked in PlayStation games like Spider-Man. I've worked in Xbox game like Halo and Forza. You can even find my name there. I have also worked in PC games like Payday 2 DLC and all that jazz, and Walking Dead. So when I say this with actual experience. Games are always made for lowest denominator. So for example, let's say GTA team comes out. It's like, okay, we're gonna make GTA 5. Okay, awesome, go. What do you want to do? This has to be released in all consoles. So they're like, okay, what are consoles in the market that we want to support? They're like Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and PC. So they're like, okay, which is the weakest equipment in this? Generally, you might say computer, you could have old one, but again, they are not going to be gamers if they have that. So they're like, okay, Xbox is the lowest one. Okay, make the game run well in that equipment and then just copy paste for everything else. So game is always built that way. So it has I have this experiences like, and every artist that works in this industry, they will be like, yeah, we made 2K texture. By the time it actually went to the game, it's like scaled down to 512, because once they actually have to make sure it runs on the lowest denominator, it loses quality like there is no tomorrow. It's like we made like awesome art piece, and by the time it's in the game, it's like, no, I did not work on that. No, it's not mine. So you have to understand this. Inherently, that means the games are made for consoles, specifically any game that is going through all of them, like PlayStation, Xbox, and even sometimes Nintendo. But sometimes things change. Sometimes people take time and money and effort to make PC masters, true PC master. What's the benefit of that? So you can take the Doom for example. If you have equipment fast enough, you're gonna go YOLO on Doom. There are other games also that are like unlocked frame rate, because frame rate, to make computer stable enough, there will be a lock to it. Like, do not try to compute more than 60 times a second. It's done for consoles natively. Like consoles, it's limited by default. And heck, you can look into, let's say, Horizon Zero Dawn is limited to 30 for example. So many of the console games are frame locked. Now it gives animators a lot of flexibility, and like it gives comfort to every manufacturer. Is like, yeah, it's this, get it done. But for PC, it's like, dude, you have so much horsepower, you're like, you can't do anything. It's like you have a Ferrari, but you are running on an Indian road, you can't go very far. So sometimes they change this, where you're gonna have very high, like polished game engine, where you can truly have unlocked frame rate. So you can really buy a high refresh rate monitor and be like, yeah, my game is actually running at 144 hertz. Eat your heart out, console. Sometimes LODs will be properly built in such a way that switching algorithm is no longer running on a peasant console level, it's running on master race, whereas like, okay, it's not gonna switch LOD, oh, you went 2 meters ahead, switch the LOD. No, computer can handle this. I got this. We have big VRAMs, we got this. And textures, that's the first thing. Now generally, because it's the easiest thing, that's the part that is compressed a lot. Is like, oh, 2K texture, poof, 512. So that, if not done, because you can take example, many people are having that with Horizon Zero Dawn recently. It's like, yeah, I have the most mind-boggling computer. Is like, just it looks the same as PlayStation, because the texture was not there, so it can't upraise it magically. So these things are very serious. So before you go YOLO with your money, be mindful. The games you play, do they actually benefit from that? Another aspect, technology generally takes very long time to implement. That same happened with physics X, like because it took so long to implement, many people flat out ignored it. It's like there are very few games that have physics. And not to mention, you do not want to release a technology game where like, okay, buy this graphics card, then only you can play our game. People are like, no, thank you. So that's another aspect. However, this time Nvidia might be lucky, because consoles are coming out and they are utilizing the most awaited technology, basically direct draw. The VRAM that you see in your graphics card, that's generally the place where textures are stored. So you can have a model, let's say a character model, it could be like few megabytes, best case scenario, but the textures going to that that would be huge. So you can have like, you know, oh, 5 kilobytes of character model, like face triangles and all that. The texture that is coming normal map alone would be like 2 megabytes and all that. So there is a very serious unbalance. Basically triangles, the geometry is super lightweight, but the textures, they are heavy. So textures go into the VRAM for rendering purposes. Now because there is a choke point of PCI lane and processor has to feed that data, it's very inefficient. So you could have a scenario like gaming example would be Deus Ex. It was really bad. Mankind Divided was really bad. Like this was on an SSD. I was waiting for the game to load because again it was a bottleneck by my processor. So to bypass that, consoles in this generation, they are doing what we call direct feed. Basically, directly take the texture from the storage medium, which would be NVMe SSDs, and directly feed it to the graphics card. Do not let processor interfere in this. Benefit, processor is like, I'm free to run free, and graphics card is like, I got this, I'm fully ready, I can render triangles at much faster rate. So that is a very big change, and this is because it's happening in the same time where console and computer will get into the same technology at the same time around 2021. It will still might take 2-3 years, because there is a very good chance the game that you see today has been worked on like what, 3-4 years behind schedule, early hand. So in those sort of scenario, you may take like, okay, next generation games would be that. So be mindful, apply some break, cool off, and don't buy for oh, this technology might help my games in the future. Don't buy like that. Buy, is it actually there? Because many people have paid lot amount of money for physics and it never panned out the way they expected. Even with RTX, not that many games do like that. And because games are made for lowest denominator, it's like, dude, how many level, let's say even it's a PC master race game, they'll go to Steam. It's like, bro, tell me how many people your user base have RTX. They're like 3%. They're like, okay, RTX, it's a nice to have feature, put that on a add-on DLC and all that jazz. So be mindful of that and wait for AMD might have a good equipment. Even if they do not have very good equipment, they might at least allow you to reduce the price on board partners. So relax, and supply would be very low at the beginning because the whole world ended in 2020, so supply chain has been broken very seriously. So be mindful, relax, do not go into for because if you try to buy right now, you will be very severely price gouged, and in Indian price it's very ludicrous, like 51,000 is supposed to be like 36, but so be mindful. I would urge you, apply some cold water to your face, relax, take a deep breath, then you make a decision. Do not rush, just relax. And not to mention, we have to see how the thermals order, because this time Nvidia went bonkers with the power requirement. So be mindful, and you may have to update your power supply. You may be like, hey, 600 watt. Again, it can do, tangibly it can do, but people always want to have like a bit of buffer room, especially if you want to touch that overclocking dial. So this was my presentation on Nvidia 30 series graphics card. Hopefully you liked it, learned from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me disappointment. Please leave a comment because I try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.